I was just 1 week from handing in the most important paper of my life, my final big project for my master's degree. I had spent months with no sleep, drinking coffee all weekend and doing so much hard work. It was all on my laptop. That laptop was my everything. It was the last step between all my years of school and the job I had worked so hard to get. I didn't have much money. I worked part-time jobs while I was in school and could barely pay my rent. I definitely couldn't afford to save my work online or have a second computer, but I was proud of what I was doing. I was building a good life for myself. Then my brother came into my room. He was angry because I wouldn't give him a ride to a party. I told him calmly that I couldn't, that I had to finish my project. He made a face and said, "You think you're better than everyone just because you're in school?" I ignored him. That was a big mistake. He left my room, and a few minutes later I heard a loud crash. I ran into the living room and saw my laptop in pieces on the floor. The screen was broken right down the middle. The keyboard was snapped off and the whole thing was bent. My brother stood there with his arms crossed, looking pleased with himself. "Oops," he said. "It slipped." I couldn't breathe. I fell to my knees, just staring at what was left of all my work. Every paper, every single word, was gone. I turned to my parents, crying and hoping for help, but they didn't even seem to care. My mom laughed and waved her hand. "It's just a computer." "You're being so dramatic." My dad shook his head and smiled. "You kids and your computers, you should have printed it out like we used to." It felt like a bad dream. My own family, the people who were supposed to love me, were laughing while my dreams were being smashed in front of me. And the worst part was, they didn't even try to hide that they liked him more. My brother just shrugged. "Maybe next time you won't act like you're the only person who matters." I left the room without a word. I didn't yell, I didn't fight. I just sat in the dark, my heart beating fast and anger boiling inside me. In that moment, I decided this was not how my story would end. It was how my revenge would begin. I used every penny I had. I sold my guitar, skipped meals, and begged my professor to give me more time. I worked on the computers at school, staying up all night, using flash drives and online documents like my life depended on it, because it did. But while I was quietly redoing my project, I was also planning something else. You see, my brother's party boy act was about to come to an end. I started collecting proof, actual receipts from all the things he had bought with my parents' credit card, fake IDs, alcohol, even a broken window he had blamed on a neighbor. My parents never checked, but I did, and I waited. The day I handed in my project was the same day I set up a meeting with the school's main office. It wasn't about me. It was about a certain student who had copied an entire assignment. My brother, I had found the original paper online. It was so easy. My parents still had no idea what was about to happen, but they would soon. I didn't talk to my family for a while after that. I needed all my strength to rebuild what they had. Let him destroy. And while I was fighting to finish my project all alone, my brother walked around like he was king of the world. My parents still treated him like he was perfect. Not knowing the trouble that was coming the night I finished my project. I didn't cry because I was tired. I cried because I had made it. I had rebuilt everything he tried to take away, but I wasn't finished. While my parents were praising my brother for finally getting a B in a class, they never once said anything about how hard I had worked to graduate. They never asked if I was okay after my laptop was broken. Instead, they bought my brother a new sound system for his car and had a party for him because he had managed to stay out of trouble. Meanwhile, I was holding my life together with tape and anger. But sometimes things work out for those who work hard. My project was chosen for a national award. I was going to present it at a big meeting in Chicago, and they paid for everything. I didn't even tell my parents. I just packed my one nice outfit, got on the plane, and stood in front of a room full of smart people, professors, and leaders. People who saw me, who thought I was good, who clapped for me. The day after I got back, I walked into a mess at home. My brother had been caught cheating again, and this time it wasn't just at school. He had sent a copied article to a local magazine. Using my name, I found out when the magazine emailed me to ask for some changes, thinking I had written it. When I looked into it, I saw it was copied word for word from a little-known blog. I showed him the proof. He just laughed and said, "No one's going to believe you. You're the dramatic one, remember?" But I wasn't just the dramatic one anymore. I was the one with proof, with a good name and with a growing group of people who believed in me. So I sent a full report to the school board, the magazine, and the ethics committee. But the biggest hit didn't come from me. It came from the bank. Remember all the things my brother had bought with my parents' credit card? The new tires, the fake IDs, the online gambling? I had quietly put it all together in a computer folder, with the time, date, and receipts. An assigned form he had faked using my name. Yes, he had used my name to get a $2,500 student loan, without me knowing. It wasn't just stealing. It was a serious crime. When I showed it to the bank with a lawyer from my school's free legal clinic, they started an investigation. My brother was called in. My parents panicked. My mother cried, "You're tearing this family apart over money." I calmly answered, "No. He did that when he tore my life apart, and you laughed." They tried everything to make me stop. My dad offered to take care of it himself. My mom begged, "Just let it go. Family is most important." I just stared at them. "I am family. You just forgot a court date was set." My brother tried to say he was stressed. My parents tried to blame me for not telling them sooner. I brought emails, screenshots, proof, and a calm attitude that shocked them into silence. But I didn't want him to go to jail. I wanted justice. I wanted him to know what it was like to rebuild from nothing, so I asked for him to pay for everything: the laptop, the cost of redoing my project, and the loan he took out in my name. The judge agreed. My brother's bank accounts were frozen. My parents, desperate, offered to pay me. Themselves, they even said, "You owe her that much. She's the favorite." That was the last straw. I knew then they would never see me as their daughter, just as a way to keep their perfect son out of trouble. So I walked away. The next time they tried to call me, they got a message that said, "This number is no longer working. Please contact your favorite child instead." 6 months went by. My parents didn't call. My brother tried to call once to blame me for ruining his life, but I was done listening to people who never listened to me. I moved to a new city and got a good job where my ideas were valued and my name was respected, but the story wasn't over. One evening, I got a call from a woman named Olivia. She was a journalist looking into cases of cheating at a certain university. My brother's name had come up. She had heard about the court case and found my name. "I'd love to hear your side of the story," she said. At first I didn't want to, but then I realized that my silence had protected them for too long. So I agreed. I didn't say mean things about them. I just told the truth. How a young woman's future was almost destroyed by her own brother. How her parents laughed, and how they only started to care when the law got involved. The article was a huge success. The title was "Family First or Family Scapegoat: One Woman's Fight Against Toxic Silence." My old professors shared it. Former neighbors sent me messages. A teacher from high school told me, "We always knew you were the strong one." But my family, they lost everything they cared about. Their good name. My mother's book club stopped inviting her. My father's promotion at work was quietly taken away. And my brother, he couldn't get into any good schools or get any good jobs because people had proof of what he had done. And here's the final twist. The company I worked for bought an old family estate in my hometown to turn into a conference center. Guess who used to have their family reunions there? Yes, my parents. I didn't buy it to get back at them. I bought it because it was a beautiful, perfect place for our company. But when it was time for their yearly reunion, they tried to book it, and I was the one who got the request. I didn't answer. I just had my assistant send them the new rules. Bookings must be approved by the owner. Family members with a history of legal problems or abuse will not be allowed. They got the message a week later. I was at the estate getting ready for our yearly retreat when I saw a car I knew pull up. My parents got out. They looked older, tired, and sad in a way I had never seen. They didn't recognize me at first. I was in a nice white suit walking with the director of the program and the main speakers. I looked nothing like the girl who once begged them to listen. My mother's lips shook. My father looked sick. "We didn't know it was you." I held up a hand. "You did know. You just didn't think I would ever own anything." They tried to explain, to say they were sorry. My mom said, "We were scared you would turn everyone against your brother." I smiled calmly. No, he did that all by himself. I just stopped protecting him. They asked if I would let them use the estate. I told them gently, "There's a nice public park 2 towns over. You'll like it there." Then I turned and walked away. I didn't need to yell. I didn't need to prove anything. Their silence, their guilt, their shocked faces, that was enough. Because in the end, I wasn't just the one they blamed anymore. I was the success they tried to erase. I was the woman they ignored until she was standing at the gates of what used to be theirs, holding the keys they could never take away. And that was justice. Not loud, not mean, just final.